Hi, I'm Freddie, and you're in the main room of my shop. This is where we assemble kilns. This kiln is under construction. It's called a 2448. So the dimensions of it are 24 by 24 by 48 inches high to the bottom of the arch, so this point of the arch. Today we're going to first do a floor element, or I'm sorry, a door element. These are the control boxes on the door, the connection boxes. The element tails are going to come through a hole in the brick. They come through a large hole in the sheet metal, and they come into this connection block. So this connection block has a stud here that the element goes around, and the wire from the control panel comes into this connector. This acts as kind of a heat sink. You'll notice that my elements aren't twisted. And if you want to ask me why they're not twisted, I have an answer for that. So the first thing is, why aren't the elements stretched? When you order replacements, I'm willing to stretch the elements. It turns into a larger package coming to you with a little added expense. You're going to have to pay me to stretch them. The first thing you might want to understand is that all of the elements in this kiln are the same electrically. In this particular kiln, they're all 20 ohm, 13 gauge wire. That means that the element in the top of the door and the bottom of the door are the same. The elements in the walls are the same as the door. The floor elements are the same as the wall and the door, etc. So you can have one or two elements on the shelf in case of an emergency and stretch it to the right length when you need to. I'm going to show you how to stretch it and install it today. So the first thing we need is, what's our overall length? If we look at the front of this, we can see that these boxes aren't the same distance apart. In this kiln, the bottom wall, or the bottom door, has 8 grooves. It comes in here, of course, and comes back out here. That's 8 grooves on the bottom. The top is from here to here, so there's only 6 on the top. My kilns, typically the arch tends to suck up a lot of the heat. There's no elements in the top. The kilns are trying to keep even, in this case with 3 thermocouples. The top is usually the one that's lagging behind. So if I have a choice, I'll put a little more heat on the top. Okay? So this top element is 6 grooves, as I mentioned. Each groove is 21 inches. 6 times 21 is 126 inches. Okay. So I'm going to first stretch this element to 126 inches. So this is the element as it starts. If you order unstretched elements, they'll be about this length. This is a 20 ohm element. It's 13 gauge. And I'm going to stretch it to 126 inches. And we'll see what happens. Because it's going to relax back to something. I'll show you what I mean. If I just pull this to 126, which is my finished length, it relaxes back. So I know I need to go quite a bit past it. I'm going to start out going to 160, and I end up with 113. So I'm going to add 13 inches to 160. I need to go to 173. And it's at 124. I go to 175. And I get 126. So it usually takes me several times of stretching to get it out to just the right length. Now this is such a nice tool in my shop just for this, but sometimes it catches on here. So if you see me pulling that to correct it, that's what that's about. I cut off that bent spot and I'm first going to fold the element in half. And I'm going to unwind it with my hands. Just how it looks, you know, it takes a strong hand, but okay, I want to do it about like that. Now I need to divide each half of it into 3 pieces. So after I fold the element in half and make the first division, I need to divide each half of the element into 3 because there's 6 pieces. There's 6 grooves. So I first, with using my thumb, hold it in left and right, transfer the motion like that, put my right thumb there, move my left thumb to meet it, and I see that this is open by this much. I need to make each groove 1/3, each element 1/3 longer, okay? So into there. Fold that in half, the remainder of 2/3. Each element's going to be short, a little bit short, and that's not unusual. And you'll see what we do with that. Okay? So on each one of those, I unwound them to be just a little bit more than 2.5 inches. Okay? Then, after I unwind them, I take them and make them so that they're straight. Okay? You can see this. They are a little fussy. I have 3 pieces here. On this one, I'm going to make the first division right there. Again, unwinding it with my hand, leaving 2/3 that I can just fold in half and unwind. Okay. Now, all of those are fine for the singles. You can see the first one is a double. So I need to go back and make the first one, the first drop we'll call it, larger. Trying to make that square and straight. It's a little bit short. I want it just a little bit longer than that. Okay. If it's too long, you can wind it back a little bit. Folding that in half and checking that. Good. Okay. Okay. And that one would be okay, but the last one is also a double, the bottom one. So I need to make this one twice as long. Okay, so now each section of the element is a little bit short, and I need to adjust them to make them the right length. I'm going to hold it in the groove, or hold it up to the groove, and look at the top one's actually 2 inches or more. I need to widen that one quite a bit. So I hold them like this and pull them. I went too far. I can push it back together. Okay. I try to keep it even. It's got to, electrically it wouldn't matter. I want it to look good when you get it, okay? That one's looking fine. So if you go too far, you can pull it back. This one's just a little bit more. Okay. 3. Stretching it out. Just a little bit more. I know some of these things I say over and over again. See, that's a little bit long. I like it in compression a little bit. I would rather have it a little bit long than a little bit short. A little bit long is forgiving. Short is not. Okay. That one's 2 inches, so that's quite a bit. Again, I went too far. I'm just pushing it a little bit. Doesn't take much. So on this one, on this particular element, it's symmetrical, the top and the bottom. It doesn't matter which side I stop on or start on. Okay, straightening that as much as I can, trying to make that straight. We got to try to get it in that little hole up here. Okay. Okay. Want that 90 degrees. Okay, you see me turning it like that? As it bumps on things, by turning it, sometimes you catch it. It's a little bit bent on the end. Turning it usually helps. Now these, because they kind of have to come out and then go back in, I want that at a little bit of a C shape. So I made it a little bit longer than it needed to be, okay? And this one again, I want to make it about like that. It's a little bit forgiving if you put it in there. Forgiving right until you break the brick. Don't break the brick. Okay. Again, bending that like that. This one's a little bit too long. So let's look for the opening or the spot that will look best to squish. Compress it. Okay. Drop it in. Okay. Making that shape to come out around this a little bit. Here we go. Hear that hitting on there? That's hitting the transite strip on the back. So a little bit of bend makes the difference. Okay. Okay, just pulled that out a little bit and bent it down. Just using my pliers a little bit, do a last finish bend on getting them down into the grooves nicely. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's not pinned, but it looks pretty good. Okay, now to make these connections, they're coming into this piece of transite material, and this is a mixture of ceramics, clay, fiber, and cement. It used to be made of asbestos. That was a long time ago. Okay, so the element's coming out. This one is going to go around the stud. Take that nut off. And I like to go I'm first going to cut it off. It's a little bit too long. And cut it flush with the box is fine. Then I'm going to wrap it around there clockwise. Clockwise because that's the way the nut goes on. So the nut will tend to tighten it as we do it. Okay, starting the nut. Using a 7/16 nut driver. Okay. As tight as feels reasonable. And then cut the excess off, because the excess is going to have electricity in it. We want to cut that off. This kiln is built with K25 bricks, and so I can only use straight pins on it. The U-shaped pins I typically like that look like a fish hook, I can't get them pushed into this kiln because the bricks are a little bit harder. So, Liza, what I'm going to do, if you want to get a close-up of this, I'm going to cross over that bottom coil. So I hold it at an angle because the coil is going at the opposite angle. Okay? Because this kiln is built with a harder brick called K25, and I'm unable to use the normal fish hooks that I like to use that looked like this. I typically like that style of pin, but I'm unable to get them pushed into these harder bricks. So I'm using straight pins like a lot of other companies use. You know, the fish hooks are kind of old school, high skill. What I need to do with them is overlap the coil diagonally. So the coil on the bottom is going that way. I want my pin to go the other direction so it goes over it. And I gently tap it in. The last thing I want to do is hit that brick and break it. Okay? So make sure it's crossing over the coil. Tap them in. Take your time at this. Don't get in a hurry. We have a saying around here that we like. It goes like this. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. If you take your time and only do it once, you save time. Okay? I'm trying to put 4 in each row. Okay? 4 in each row, top to bottom. We're done with that.